Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about Star Trek Discovery, Season 2, Episode 12, Through the Valley of Shadows. All right, so we're getting near the end of the season.
Yes, we are.
They're pushing the plot along.
Indeed.
There were some plot pushings happening here.
There you go.
I assume Through the Valley of Shadows is a reference to Through the Shadow of the Valley of Death, Bible verse.
Sure, why not?
And, we're... In this episode, we get Pike viewing his future, not necessarily demise, but cause of eventual death.
That's right.
A grievous injury. So, we've essentially got two main plot lines that happen in this episode, and a little subplot. So, main plots. Red Angel has shown up again. It's the fourth symbol, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's right. And it's leading him to the Klingon world of Boros. So that's where they go, and Pike goes down to the surface to investigate. The other plot line is Michael is like, these Red Angel things are a red herring. See what I did there?
Okay. Because you like herring.
Yeah, we need to investigate Leland, who's now on the run as control. Pike says, well, first of all, Red Angel, very important. There's only 7 of these things. Come on, it's not like it's an infinite number.
Sure.
We don't have to follow this forever. 2, we don't want to take the ship near Leland because that's dumb. We're bringing him the data that he wants, so we're not doing that. So she's like, screw you. I'll go ask the guy the other captain. She basically is like, I didn't get permission from the captain? I'll go ask other captain. Hey, Saru, could I do it now? And Saru's like, now that I don't have any fear senses, knock yourself out. So the other part 2 is, or the other plot is Michael and then Spock.
She has new data after that point, though.
She has what?
New data after that point. They didn't have that data at the beginning, I don't feel.
What do you mean?
Like, oh, look at this. This thing just happened wrong. I should go check it out. I'm not going to take the ship with me. I'll just do it myself.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. So she begins the episode by saying, this is pointless. Let's go after Leland. Then she gets another thing of like, oh, here's a reason to go after Leland because one of the control ships didn't respond for 10 minutes. So go get him.
Yeah.
All right, good point. I feel like she would have done it anyway, but fine. Okay. I think she was probably like...
You're saying like, I mean, you could say that, instead of going to...
She didn't take it
Pike,
to Pike.
she took it to him. Yeah.
And now apparently Pike was maybe already beginning his away mission, but... And Saru mentions, while he's away, sure, I'm acting captain,
so
sure.
There you go.
Knock
so
yourself out.
Like, let me bother him while he's doing something else. Hey, can I do this thing? No, go to the other captain.
I just got the sense that she went to him because she knew that he was more likely to say yes.
He was the one in charge.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, her mission...
Because, she's like, you just said yes like that. Whoa, I'm like, hey,
all right.
I'm different now.
Yeah, hey.
So, it doesn't make
Endanger yourself.
It doesn't seem like she had the greatest confidence that she would get that.
All right. Just that Pike had already kind of firmly said no. He didn't know about the 10-minute delay, but he had kind of said, we're doing this now, shut up.
And, it's like it all happened because Leland was there.
Right. So she gets on the shuttle, and Spock joins her on the shuttle against her wishes.
Yes, he does.
And they go off to investigate this Section 31 ship that did not check in at its proper time. Those are your 2 plot lines. Subplot is we see Jet Reno back, and she is trying to fix the relationship between Stamets and Culber because she feels like Stamets is underperforming at working on the time crystals, and she needs him at peak proficiency. So she figures if he's in a good relationship, that'll help.
I guess.
So she does. That's a weird scene where she's being therapist while pretending to have an ouchie on her finger. So Pike. Boros is important. Why is it important? There's nothing on this planet. Well, L'Rell is come to the ship, and she and Ash say, well, there is this monastery there.
Yep.
And
they have a bunch of time crystals.
And they have a ton of time crystals. It's convenient, but yay, good. All right. So obviously the Red Angel, who I'm saying I believe would be something like, say, Michael in the future or something like that. Has directed them to this planet because there are time crystals there. I would say that's probably the reason.
Sure.
You know, hey, you're going to need time crystals to make the suit work, so get some. Whatever. Okay,
Yeah, it's still a question of who directed it, since
correct. We don't know.
Reiterated.
Right. Dr. Burnham didn't know anything about it, at least at the time. Now they've told her about it, though, so she does know about it. But she doesn't have a time crystal now. That's something we didn't mention that in the last episode. So Dr. Burnham is currently stuck in the future without a time crystal. Until maybe she does find one, because she has a you know, not infinite, but she has a large number of years to find a time crystal and return. Yeah. But
hopefully they can do the Bill and Ted. You know, put it over here.
Yeah. Remember to put my keys under the. Oh, there they are. So I think that's the origin of the Red Angel. I believe on this planet is time crystals. But there's also this monastery, and this is where in a few episodes back, Ash placed little baby Ash, little baby Vok / Laurel. They confide, you know, in the crew that, oh, yes, my kid's here. You're not supposed to talk about it. The kid's supposed to be dead. In fact, yeah, it was a reminder that Ash is supposed to be dead too.
Yes.
Don't show my face around on the. Don't put me in the little weekly report on like how things are going at Starfleet. And
because in Starfleet, I thought you were thinking of on the Klingon home planet.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm just saying.
Like, you know, because then
he's on the morning zoo show on the Klingon homeworld. Hey, everybody, we got Ash Tyler here.
But just thinking, like, you know, what we know about the Klingon monk planet, you know, be like, okay, well, you know, just send us a report every week, you know, and then like they get back to them like, whoa, look at all that. Look at all those reports. Oh my gosh, what the hell?
Time is fluid here. We've done 5,000 reports in a day. Okay, so there's two important things about Boros. One is that it has the time crystals, and two, that it has little baby Vok there in this monastery to Kalish. I was interested in the comment by Laurel when she says they no longer exploit the time crystals because it is a weapon unlike any other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hey, they could get a whole a whole episode out of that. With whoever was like, hey, I think I'm going to use this weapon.
Test one. Test two. While I get the idea that, there were so many side effects, perhaps we just stopped using the thing. I feel like there'd still be some Klingon that'd be like, wait, what? We have a whole planet of time crystals? Let's go use those. So my guess is that maybe Klingons don't know about this? Is that possible? How is it that the entire, let's say everyone, you know, all Klingons know that, oh yeah, there's this planet of time crystals. We just don't use it because even though we could kick everyone's ass with it, we'd probably suffer some consequences. Like, no, there'd be somebody that'd be like, screw this.
Right.
Well, I take the time crystals.
Well, you know, let's say you're one of those people on the planet of the time crystals.
Okay.
And you know all this stuff now about, like, oh, well, you could probably use those time crystals to screw with anybody who comes to the planet. Woo! Or go back 10 minutes and then you're behind them. Boom, blew out your brains. What were you here to do? Huh? Go back up to your planet.
Damn it, it's the time crystal cops.
Yeah.
All right, the time crystal cops apparently are very effective. We didn't see a lot of them, but I guess you don't need a lot of them.
No, you don't.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So the big reveal, or one of the big reveals in this episode, is that little baby Vok, not a baby anymore. In a couple of weeks, months since they left him, he is now a full-grown dude.
That's right. Has a name and everything.
Has a name, which I'm forgetting. Anyway, he's like head monk. He says, look, we got time crystals, but we never give away these time crystals. No one ever gets them.
Nope.
And so Pike says, yeah, well, I'm not leaving here without one.
Yeah,
all right, let's just show you the time crystal. It's like, damn, that was easy. All right, so then there's this big kind of ritual where they go down into the halls of the time crystals.
I tell him you might go mad.
Correct.
So, you know, so it's like, yeah, give it a try.
So you've got the past. I know. Was a suggestion that there are time crystals that specifically go to the past, and time crystals that specifically deal with the present and then in the future, or was that just like This is the hall of the past.
I feel like that's
This is the hall of the present.
I don't feel like it's like...
Because he had a key.
Like, can I have some of those? Yeah, you can have those past.
You can have the past ones, but not the future ones.
Oh.
Don't give you the future ones.
Damn it.
So they go into the main hall with all the tons of crystals, by the way.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, we got 3.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they got
plenty.
Woo! The big obstacle is once you touch the crystal, it's basically a jerk to you.
Yeah.
And this is my point about earlier. It didn't, like theoretically it shows you like how you're going to die. Okay. But it didn't really show Pike how he was going to die.
So you're just extrapolating so much. It's certainly going to show you something in your future.
Okay. All right. But it picks.
And you would think that, like, oh, how you're going to die would be a bad thing. But
yeah.
It's like, oh,
Like, in other words, not foreknowledge of your death.
It's some sort
like,
of test, anyway, I guess, to see if you're worthy or something.
Okay. All right. But
who knows?
It could have shown him any day, right? So it shows him the day.
It's just like, oh, you will be tested.
He is tested by the crystal. But it shows him the day that he gets horribly disfigured.
And the day that he meets himself. No.
And it shows him in it's a modified version of the Dalek roller wheel thing.
Right.
But it's still pretty horrible.
Oh, definitely.
It's like he's in a vending machine, essentially. And so he's given the choice. Hey, if you take the time crystal, that future is locked in. Until you take it, you might not be locked in. You might be fine.
Yeah, you might just like, okay, now I know what to avoid. Yeah. Don't be a captain anymore.
That's
and I don't have to worry about any radiation.
But he, heroically, he's like, no, I'm doing this. I'm taking the time crystal because what they want to use the crystal, at least at the moment, they want to use the crystal to send the data into the future. That's what they theoretically want to use it for. Any case. He decides, fine, I'll accept this future. But you can tell it's horrifying to him.
Yeah.
He reacts big time. It's changed him. He's a shaken man at this point. And we get the idea that some people, when they glimpse some dystopian part of their future, they go mad.
They said people go mad. They said it.
It would just be interesting if, like, what if you, I don't know, you're like a well-adjusted person and you don't have any horrible accidents happening to you in the future, and you show up and you're like, all right, if you touch this crystal, who knows what's going to happen? You touch the crystal, it's like, oh, I had a surprise birthday party. Oh, that's cool. They gave me cake.
I'd be like, no, the ruin's a surprise.
I'll accept the price I have to pay to undo my surprise birthday party. Let's talk about his vision. So what we learn is it's a training exercise. I can't tell if it's on the Enterprise or Discovery or something, but he's on the deck of a ship. It's a training exercise. It goes horribly wrong. There's a bunch of radiation. It is pretty, he and Spock both basically have the same death. If you think of Spock in
I was thinking about another scene
on
from
the glass.
I was thinking of another death that actually was Scotty's nephew. It's like, he stated his post when the trainees ran.
Good point. Right. So this guy stated his post when they sent the trainees out. And then, the technology is such that even though Ariam, who had some horrible accident that killed her fiance, was turned into a robot lady, they're like, that's not good enough.
No.
Nope. You get vending machine. Rolling vending machine.
Now, what we do know about Pike is, he doesn't like
He doesn't like all the bells and whistles?
He doesn't like the hollow things because it makes it look like ghosts.
He's like, give me the value. Give me the rebate option. I have a Groupon for some low-cost health care.
Maybe he doesn't like the robot people because they look funky.
They look funky.
He's
like, I don't want to be a robot.
No.
I'd rather be really unhappy with the beep thing.
Yeah, there you go. Make conversation a lot easier.
This actually does make me think of
beep 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 beep.
He could do like some music.
There you go.
So this is just a thought, generally speaking. It's not really a comment about the episode particularly, but it's like based on the things we see. So in this we see he is locked into a future,
Yes.
I guess, where he's got to have horrible radiation burns and then live his life in a vending machine.
Yep.
Same. Spock obviously died in the same kind of way in the thing.
That is obvious.
We've had people jettisoned out into space. We saw that in this episode. You vacuum of space.
Right.
Everybody died.
In the series, not the episode, yes.
Well, even in the episode.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Section
that was
31
deliberate.
folks.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but anyway, point being, there's a whole lot of ways to die horribly in Star Trek universe.
Okay.
And a lot of them aren't immediate. Like the radiation thing is like, oh God, I'm. Maybe they should just give everyone like a little cyanide capsule type thing or something like, you're about to die horribly in the vacuum of space or whatever. I'll just take the easy way out. You know what I mean? Like maybe? No? Okay, that's just me. Never mind. Like, for instance, Spock in that moment, he knows he's dying of radiation in Star Trek 2. Wouldn't it have just been easier to be like, okay, I'm going to avoid the suffering?
But he knows he can like put his brain into somebody else to leave a secret
do that
message.
first, then
so
take
he can,
the pill. Let me get the brain thing first. Brain thing, great. Now I'll take the pill. Good. I avoided all that pain and suffering. All right, no? All right. Never mind. I'm sorry. Sorry I brought it up.
Now we have to
I want my cyanide capsule in Star Trek.
Now, if we don't do a warning to anybody who's, thinking about euthanasia, we can be sued. It's like anybody who's having trouble, dial 1-800. Don't kill me.
Good point. Yes, don't do that if you're trapped in a vacuum of space. All right. Anyway, I'm just saying his life was a horrible suffering for a long time. He being Captain Pike.
Really big euthanasia proponent over here.
Never mind. I'm done with that.
Just kill yourself.
So here's what that time crystal could have done. Could have showed him that future on Talos 4 where he's just like, I'm back to me. I'm walking around. I got my true love by my side. That'd be
just
cool.
That part?
Thanks,
and
time
not
crystal.
The fact that his
exactly.
body's really in a...
Nope. If it had just been nice, but it's not. Time crystals are mean. They're jerks. Okay. So he's got the time crystal, and he brings it back on board the ship. Meanwhile, Michael Burnham, Spock, take a shuttle to investigate this, anomaly.
Yeah,
say.
Sure.
Here's my thought on that. In some ways, the only way that her plan makes sense is if it's not an anomaly. If she shows up and it's like, oh, hey, chronometer was stuck, we're fine. Yeah. Oh, thanks. But if you just take one person, and she didn't know she was going to have Spock, even if it is Spock, but one person in a shuttle shows up against an AI-controlled enemy vessel, seems like that would be a bad idea.
Well, she says reconnaissance is what she's there to do. Okay. Like, that's what she says. That's all. Just like
don't mind me.
Yeah. So maybe she would just stick there like, oh, they don't look like there's anything wrong with him, and of course, good gosh.
Okay. So they show up and there is something wrong.
Yes.
Right away.
Quite something wrong.
Bodies everywhere. They killed off all of the Section 31 folks except one. As soon as they did that, I'm like, oh boy. So they pull the one survivor on board, had managed to grab a spacesuit, and. Did you remember Gant? I didn't remember Gant.
No, they had to show us, and it was like, there's so many people they show on there who just, on the...
It's like, he's back! Thank God. Who? Okay, but yes, he was on the Shenzhou back in the, episode 1, season 1.
Probably.
And something that occurred to me was... The last time he probably saw her, Michael, she was being put in jail for mutiny. Didn't you kill our captain, cause our captain to be killed, and screw us over?
Well,
I don't know, but
if you just pulled out of space,
I got you. He's like, inside he's secretly like, Michael Burnham.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Michael. Yeah, you'd be like, put me back.
Put me back into space.
I don't want to be saved by you.
It doesn't matter because he is not, in fact, Gant. At this point, he was.
Yeah, he was.
But he is now AI-controlled thing. So they go aboard the ship to try to see... What is their intention behind going onto the ship? They're trying to track down Leland still? Seems like they learned enough. Oh, controls here? Got it. Let's get out of here. But they go aboard the ship.
I don't know. I can't remember if they wanted to purge it.
Well, eventually they do. Once they're on board, they want to try to purge it.
Right, but I mean, to see what happened, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if it still had, command of the ship, I could do the things that it actually did.
Yeah, right. So they get on the ship. The ship starts taking off toward a destination.
Yeah, I like how they're like, let's try to figure out if you do that, it'll know. Okay, we can disguise it as a diagnostic. No.
Good point. And that didn't work. Mainly because they were talking to the control there. Hey, Gant, why don't you plug in the numbers as a diagnostic? That'll confuse it. Oh, okay.
It's not a diagnostic.
It's not a diagnostic. So eventually, Michael and Spock both figure out in different ways that Gant is actually, an AI thing.
Yes.
And Gant starts kind of basically admits that I wanted to get you here the whole time. You're the key that I need to get this data, and so I'm going to try to. I don't think he says assimilate, but I want to assimilate you to basically have you go aboard the ship back to Discovery, and then I can get the data through you.
Yeah.
Big fight breaks out. She's got the little needle near her eye. She shoots the thing.
Spock,
the former Gant with a phaser a bunch of times.
Try to help there.
I thought for a second, because she shoots through him eventually, makes a hole in Gant. I thought maybe she was going to shoot Spock on the other side. Like, oh, God, no, careful. But then the nanites all start pouring out of the thing and become its own little moving nanite monster.
Yes.
And Spock figures out it's the age-old solution to beating robots. Magnets. You look back at all those old 60s shows or something, and it was like, oh, look, I have this old like all those horseshoe magnets. You stick it on the robot and you're like, well, that's exactly what they did. They magnetized the floors. A sharp. So they, Michael is not taken over.
No, she's not.
Control.
No.
They're able to stop the ship. They do not continue. Spock actually suggests, why don't we take the ship to its destination? Find out why it wanted us to go to this place. She's like, no, we're getting out of here. So they go back to Discovery. She's like, I guess that Red Angel is important. Let's go back. And so they head back in time for Pike to be back with the crystal. They've got the time crystal, but now Section 31 ships. I believe it said there were 30 ships.
I know,
which is interesting since the 31st ship would be the one that Giorgio's on. So is that why they call it Section 31? So they have 31 ships? I don't know. Anyway, let us know. And whatever. It's just a big coincidence. Maybe we should upgrade and call ourselves Section 83, maybe? Okay.
No, I don't like that.
Okay, never mind.
Get rid of those ships.
Get rid of those. I like 31 better.
Yeah.
So there is a talk on board, we got to figure out how these time crystals work. We got to Stamets and Jet Reno can make this thing, the time crystal, work for us, and we'll send the data into the future and save everybody.
Yeah.
And Reno's like, we have no time.
No time to do that.
They got 30 ships on us. No matter where we go, they're going to find us, and it'll be horrible. The only thing we can do, blow up the ship.
Yep, that's all they can do.
Time to blow up the ship. And so they begin to do the evacuation sequence, which we see in the trailer for next week. They continue doing that.
Yeah. So there's a question. Yeah, so we were curious about why they couldn't just use the spore drive to just jump away.
It seems like there's...
Far away.
The spore drive is infinitely more mobile than any of those ships.
Yep.
So, you just go into the beta quadrant or something and whoop! All right, now we have time to look at the time crystal. But whatever. No, there's Section 31s everywhere.
No, they are.
They probably have spies
on
board still.
That's right. There you go.
Arium 2. So that's not a thing. They're going to instead blow up the ship.
Yep.
First, send everybody off. Okay, so a couple of things. There have been some theories that have gone on in the last couple of weeks. Two in particular that I think both of those theories are moderately, if not significantly, strengthened by this episode. One theory that's moderately strengthened is the Borg theory. I know you're not a big fan of the Borg theory.
I'm not.
But I feel like the fact that they had these nanites that are pouring out everywhere, and the guy talks about how, look, we can all... his spiel when she's figuring out that Gant is actually AI, it sounds a lot like I was against him at first, but then I saw how it's a better way, and it kind of felt a little bit like if we just have one controlling thing that works us all, it's much better than if I don't know. I got the notion that it's like the beginnings of Borg thought, perhaps. But so that
whole thing to me, key of Borg thought is like, oh, my mind is connected to your mind or whatever, so it's like, oh, we're all of a hive mind. Don't separate me because that's gonna really be. So that's to me a different thing entirely than what she's talking about.
I agree that it is. If it is an incarnation of Borg, it is not the same at the moment. I agree with you that it's not a we are
like
Borg.
Quite a bit of difference that would have to occur to make that, to make those objectives, which are vastly different.
It's just that you've got a nanite-based life form thing that can take over people and control people at will, and then probably each of those, because it's like Wi-Fi, they can all talk to each other, I would guess. So there's a sense of like, eventually you just get the Borg network going. Anyway, I think it's slightly more likely than it was last week based on this episode, but I still agree with you.
They're like one thing they do go to these and they take the best of the ones or whatever, so they take these abilities now are into our creed. So anyway,
let's assume for a second it is Borg. If it was,
fine. Yes.
Obviously they don't have Borg in the original series.
Yep.
So they're going to have to send them somewhere. They're going to send them to the future, or send them to the past, or send them to the Delta Quadrant.
That sucks.
So that's maybe anyway. If that's a thing, that's how that works out. The other theory that I think gained traction, and maybe in a big way, this episode is the one how that what's happening will be connected to the Calypso short trek.
Oh yeah.
It was the episode where we saw Discovery in 1,000 years from now, and it's just orbiting by itself around a distant planet, and we know that everyone got evacuated from the ship, and the computer was given orders to just stay in orbit. Okay, well, they're evacuating the ship now. They do have a time crystal on board, and we've already heard that Jet Reno and Stamets are talking about, we got to figure out how to use the time crystal, and they've got a spore drive and a time crystal. I feel like jumping forward in time is the thing that could probably happen, methinks. Also,
yes, why would you need a spore drive to jump forward in time?
Well, I'm saying maybe you connect it to the ship as opposed to having it on a suit, is my point. I don't know.
Yeah, because, I guess what you would also have to have done in the future is come up with a way to drive the spore drive.
Right. Well, so that's the point where I think we've seen Jet Reno in a few episodes. When we first meet her, she's got the little drones, that, like her protection drones, and she's lived alone so long. She's an engineer, and she makes all kinds of little gadgets that help her life be better, essentially. Now she's on. In fact, we even saw one episode. We didn't see Jet Reno. We just saw her drones at one point. I was like, oh, this is. So she's making her presence known. I think perhaps she's going to be the one that designs what becomes Zora, the AI in 1,000 years from now that's running the ship. She's going to say, okay, if we're all going to get off the ship, we need something to run the ship in our absence. We can design this little simple program, and it'll do this thing, and maybe over time it evolves because it's connected to the data set. I don't know. I'm just saying, I think maybe we'll see a thing where they're like, okay, before we leave here, I'll just insert this program, and great. And we see Zora come online for the first time. And that is the connection to that thing. I don't know all the details.
Right.
Yeah, that's still a little weird, but
interesting theory.
So that version of the future, we do know that based on Kraft, the main character that hangs out in the Calypso episode, that there is sentient life.
Right.
They were at war.
Sure.
There were some problems.
Yeah.
But at least people are actually the universe has not been wiped out.
Sure.
In that version of events. So perhaps that is the best future we can hope for. Yeah, so there we go. Those are the general thoughts. Anything else? I'm glossing over some things probably, but we got the kid's grown up. Little baby Vok is not a baby anymore. Does that mean he keep aging? Is he gonna die in the next month?
Did we mention the crap? Maybe you didn't feel that way, but
Oh, go for it.
the relationship,
the Jet Reno
crap,
thing.
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that. All right. So we have first a cafeteria scene where Jet Reno's kind of poking at Stamets for like, hey, why aren't you back together with so and so? And he's like, screw you, and he leaves. And then there's a scene where Jet Reno goes for.
He said.
She makes up a reason essentially to go get.
Yeah.
Worked on by the doctor, and then she can tell him, get over it.
Yes, yeah, because she knows how it feels to lose someone. She was married to someone, and that woman died, and so in the war. So
right, Klingons.
Why that? And so the picture to me that it suggests is like, oh, see, it's so much nicer to have somebody back instead of be dead, which is great. That's exactly how Stamets feels. But the question is, how would your wife feel if she was back? And, and she didn't feel like she was herself. So her stupid, hey,
right,
don't mess this up stuff.
She's empathizing with the other person in the story, not with the person.
Well, her
that's
story is
actually...
similar to that. Maybe I feel like she's telling him that, yeah, I identify with you, but because earlier
she's actually
in the
identifying with Stamets.
She seems to suggest that when Tig Notaro and her wife were getting married, that her wife was far more interested in the wedding and getting it all.
Oh, right, the wedding
than
plan.
her, right? So
which apparently is Stamets in this relationship.
Right, exactly. So, okay. And so here she's trying to make some connection. But in this other situation, it's more Stamets that's the one. So it's like, ugh.
I got you.
So, she was just getting on my nerves. Like somebody who tries to insert themselves into your personal life. Like, yeah, mind your own business. Why you need to get your mind more on your... Talk to the captain.
Yeah.
And have him be able to actually have a conversation of how can we help you, as opposed to your ridiculous... I like the character and the actress or whatever, but it's like, ugh.
You're saying just in terms of the storyline, it's
yeah.
Like if you were Culber, you're like, you probably met Jet Reno twice, maybe. I mean, like you haven't really seen her. He wasn't even around that much.
They're not friends.
On the ship. They're not friends.
She says so herself.
Let's say they've seen each other in the cafeteria. He's maybe talked to her for 5 minutes total,
yeah.
And then he's like, oh, that person who I don't know had some really good advice for me. I think I'll get back together with Stamets. You stop meddling.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
But apparently it worked.
Probably.
He looked like, Culber was like, you got a good point there. So
maybe they're going to have a wedding? Will they do a wedding by the end? I say it not as a joke. Maybe at the end of season 2.
I feel like the responsible thing for them to date.
True.
And get to know each other.
All right, I'm just saying maybe you end with a... Hey, let's
the end
do
of the
a wedding
season,
on
they're
board.
getting married again?
I don't know.
God, I hope
end
not.
Seasons with either people dying or
they
people
can
getting
date.
married.
That'd be the nice end of the season. Let's go on a date.
And he does all the planning. He gets to have the DJ don't playlist.
Yeah.
I like that they still call him DJs.
I like vegan steak.
Vegan steak, but
I like
disc
vegan
jockey.
steak.
Do they still have discs? Do they still use
there you
records?
Go, yeah.
Okay.
MP3 jockey.
The MP3 jockey,
or whatever they have in the future, MP7.
Yeah. Actually, it's not quite. It's like MP 6.2. I really haven't gone that far. Like, it was good enough.
Yeah. In 100 years. Yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, bad things are happening. You got 30 ships around you. You're trying to evacuate, and you got a time crystal. Who knows how they're going to use that? And Dr. Burnham's still stuck in space, probably, but we're probably going to see her again before the end of this season.
Yeah.
Oh, and in the trailer, we do see the Enterprise shows up.
Yes.
So the Enterprise, as we assumed, the Enterprise would be like on a dual mission. It is happening. And Pike puts back on his yellow shirt.
Ooh.
He's back to captaining the Enterprise, which means Saru? Is Saru finally the captain of a ship? We'll find out next time
Yes.
on Star Trek. Bye, everybody.